What's up, guys? Today on the Chewjitsu podcast, we have an MMA fighting pioneer. We have Frank Trigg on the podcast. If you're not familiar, because I know some of you guys are new to Jiu-Jitsu, you might be new to MMA and things like that. Frank Trigg was one of the pioneers that got into the sport. He was fighting, in that early 2000s time where MMA was coming from this, really basically this thing that nobody knew about, because when I was younger and I was getting into fighting, I would talk to people and, because I was wrestling and I was, getting ready to do jiu-jitsu, and I was like, I want to go fight MMA. And someone would say, well, MMA, like, what's that like? Like, what is that? And I'd say, oh, it's like the UFC and it's like these things, and they wouldn't know what it is. And I would have to explain it to people and say, oh, it's like this. Have you seen that thing where the guys fight in the cage? And they were like, yeah, I've seen that before. That's MMA. And that's how you would have to describe it to people during this time period. And Frank Trigg was one of those fighters that fought during that time and, was kind of, as MMA then moved into TV and everybody saw what it was, and it became more of an acceptable sport in the country. So again, really fun talking to him, both about his fighting career, but also getting into aspects of transitioning from being a professional fighter into different careers and things like that. And so it's exciting to hear about that. And I had a lot of fun listening to it. I always find it interesting to hear people about how they transition from something. It's really, because you look at it like from other sports and stuff, it's very hard to transition from being a professional fighter, professional athlete, and then transition to something else. And so again, he talks about that, which I found really interesting. So I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. As always, if you want to support the podcast, you can check out some of our sponsors. One of them is Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web is the CBD that I personally use, and I just threw some on the floor. You might have heard that. But the Charlotte's Web is the CBD that I use. Again, you guys use whatever CBD you want to, and just make sure that it's from a reputable company and you get some good stuff. I'm a big fan, and I keep talking about these. I'm a big fan of the ginger gummies, the recovery gummies with some turmeric in there. And I'm also I wasn't a big fan of the orange blossom tincture, but it's growing on me now, and I kind of like it now. So I take a little bit of the orange blossom with the ginger gummies, but again, I really like them. I've noticed a benefit from it. So again, give it a try, and if you want to save some money while you're trying it out for the first time, when you go to charlottesweb.com, check out the products that you want, and then when you get ready to exit out of there with your stuff and get ready to check out, use the promo code Chewjitsu and save 15% off on the order. And then the other sponsor that we have is Epic Roll Jiu-Jitsu, so epicrollbjj.com. The guy, Matt, he originally contacted me. And he sent me some gear to try because, again, people send me stuff all the time, and I typically don't really do much with it because, again, sometimes I don't like the stuff. I really don't. I'm like, I'm not going to wear this. This is like, it's just not my thing. But he sent me some gear, and I really liked it. The shorts and the rash guards and the T-shirts were cool, and so I was like, I'm going to try this out. And so I started wearing some. I actually enjoy this stuff. I enjoy the rash guard, enjoy the shorts, and so I've been wearing them. If you watch some of my rolling videos, you'll see that actually that's what I'm wearing in some of them. And so again, if you want to check out some of his stuff, he just got some new ranked rash guards out. So if you want to check those out, you can check out epicrollbjj.com. And again, the promo code is simple. We'll make it really simple for you guys, Jiu-Jitsu, and that'll save 15% off your purchase when you get it. And again, guys, the one thing that we do with the podcast, we have two things actually going on now. If you're still listening, because I make a joke about this. I actually posted this in the last one with Filter. Where I was like, people are just skipping, and someone was talking about anyway, it's irrelevant. We do a Patreon, which you can go to patreon.com/the Jiu-Jitsu podcast. We've also got something new that we've been testing out. I started a new product for you guys if you're interested. It combines the things that we do on the Patreon, but it also combines things that I do in my gym. So I call it the Jiu-Jitsu Vault. And basically what that is it's a combination of all the stuff that I do with my students, all my teaching that I do with them, plus a bunch of extra audio, written, and video content that doesn't go up. So again, it's all the stuff that I give to my students, and then I'm giving it to people that are interested in receiving that stuff as well. And so it comes out monthly, and every month you get a little bit more content, and it focuses on a particular area, both with the written content, the audio content, and the video stuff that's there. And again, this is everything from techniques to just concepts and ideas to just some different things that I think might be useful to you. It's the same stuff that I share with my students. And then we're also taking the Patreon content, which again, you can get the Patreon stuff, that's fine. But if you want a little bit more for not too much money, you can check out the Vault, and the Patreon content will be in there, plus all the additional video content and everything that I was just talking about. So if you want to check that out, you can go to chewjitsu.net, then my website. And if you look under video courses and products, you'll find the Vault there, and you can sign up for it and check it out. So guys, with that said, with all the stuff out of the way, let's talk to Frank Trigg and talk to him about his fighting career and talk to him about his transition into being a stuntman.
Were you in the Hall of Fame for your fight with Matt Hughes?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? I saw that sign behind you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's from. Yeah, and then they just sent me my jacket, my UFC jacket. I just got it. So actually, when you guys were talking to me, I forgot I had left this on my desk, which is the letter they send with it from Dana, saying what a stud you are for being in the UFC and blah 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 blah. And I was like, totally forgot it was in my office. So I have this little space in our condo that's my office.
Yeah.
But life has changed quite a bit for me over the last couple of years. So I'm not in my office as much anymore. I'm only in here really when I'm studying or I'm plotting or I'm trying to figure out a route. I sail a lot. So I'm trying to figure out we have a race on, like the sailing season starts March 10th, the racing season. So I'm back. I'm getting prepped for that racing season and I'm plotting the courses. And so usually I'm in here with a compass and a map and that kind of shit.
Okay.
But it's been off for like 4 months. And we've been out of racing for 4 months. So I haven't been in the office till today. So right now for you guys, I'm actually back in my office and I realized it got kind of cluttered. I got boxes behind me. I got our Christmas trees behind me. I got our Yeti coolers behind me. Like I got all this stuff kind of in my way and I didn't realize it was here. So I sat down and now I'm like, I got crap around me. I got to I got to fix my space now, because it's just one of those things you forget. You don't go. It's like going to a storage unit. You're not in there for a while.
Yeah. You
go back into it. You're like, oh yeah, I guess I better clean this crap up. So that's kind of what I got.
Was your wife making sure that you didn't have certain stuff on camera, like it's messy or something like that?
Yeah. So what I have.
My girl's the same way.
Is I have my trophy stand.
And
that's my grandmother's butler from when she was living in Japan, which everything sits on it. That's like that's one of the last things I have from her before she passed away, so I keep that pretty close to me.
Okay.
That's I'm not a guy that keeps many pictures around. I don't keep very many photos. I barely have of all the awards and trophies and stuff I've won. I have very few, as you saw. I'm just not a guy to keep stuff. I just don't. But my grandma's butler is one of the things that I keep, so it's like the centerpiece of my office, and it also gets stuff on it that doesn't really need to be there. And then Christmas, obviously ended a little while ago. The weird thing is our storage unit is still in Vegas, even though we live in LA. So our Christmas tree has to go back to our storage unit in Vegas. We haven't gone back to Vegas to put it back. So the Christmas tree is laying down behind me. And it's like this whole thing we got going on. It's just a mess. Just, life happens.
Yeah. Well, why are you, what's changed that's gotten, you're so busy, you're traveling so much more now?
Well, stunt work and acting is my main job. That's how I make my monthly bills. And that, as a result, has actually had me travel quite a bit. I have to travel Austin sometimes for Fear the Walking Dead. I've got to go to New Orleans for NCIS New Orleans. Like there's all these different cities and locations you have to go to in the U.S. And then commentating for Ryzen would take me overseas to Japan. Until this last card, obviously we weren't on it. But then Europe quite a bit. I have a brother lives in Jakarta. I have a brother lives in Saudi Arabia. I'm actually going to United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, end of March to Ref. And so I'm kind of all over the place. And really, November, December, babe, right? Yeah, November, December, we weren't even home. Like we were home 10 days in those 60 days. Wow. We literally, we came back the day before Christmas, had Christmas here, and then left the day after Christmas to go to Japan. Like we were gone the entire time. So it's like really, we did 140,000 miles in the air last year, flying. And it's just what life brought to me. And I'm one of those guys that, because the way I grind, I don't turn down any opportunities. Every opportunity is a chance for something else to happen in my life. So I always look at it. And as a result, like this one little, what you would look at as like this one little crappy opportunity, all of a sudden turns into 7 other little crappy opportunities, which all of a sudden turns into this one huge thing and also becomes this big deal. And then with that, and I'm studying for my captain's license. I'm trying to be a chartered sailing captain, kind of like my father was before me. And so I'm in the middle of studying for that, and that has you going to different locations and different stuff. And it's just been a lot of hustle and bustle, trying to make the American dream come true, I guess.
Yeah. So how'd you get into the sailing thing? You said your father, was that like something you grew up doing?
Oh, I grew up sailing, yeah. Being born and raised in Rochester, New York, we're right on Lake Ontario. So our sister city's Toronto, so we sail across all the time as a kid. Dad was pretty smart. In the divorce, he was only allowed to see us every other weekend. And he would come to all my wrestling matches. At the time I was swimming, so he'd be at all my swim meets. Then when I started wrestling, come to my wrestling matches or my soccer games. Like, he made it a big point to be at all my stuff. But then he also worked in where he got to spend race nights with me, which were either Tuesday night or Wednesday night racing. So I'd go with him Tuesday night or Wednesday night until I started wrestling. I had wrestling practice, obviously, but I would with him and sail. And I'd be like the third hand on a boat. And we'd win all the time because the captain of the boat was amazing. So I kind of got that in my blood and then left it for a long time. When we moved to Hawaii, with my friend Noah Johnson and my friend Victor, I got back into sailing again. And then Victor, unfortunately, lived on the other side of Oahu. He lived in Kaneohe, and I lived in Kaka'ako. So it's totally the other side of the island. At that time, to get down there for the Tuesday night, Wednesday night races, it'd take an hour because of traffic. I just couldn't do it. The wife and I only had one car, so I couldn't get over there. When I moved back to LA, I said, I'm going to get back in the sailing and see what happens. And now I'm competitive again. It's just local stuff. It's not by no means is it America's Cup. By no means am I racing big super yachts. I'm racing, little humming guys sitting out in the slips, like little small sailboats, 35 footers, 24 footers, like nothing huge. But I'm competitive and I'm back sailing again. And we're actually season starts, like I said, March 10th and March 11th, the first Tuesday, Wednesday races, and we're taking off. Yeah.
Where did you get this desire to just do kind of everything, just to grind, just to be so busy, so kind of because a lot of the things you're doing are very different. Sailing is very, very different from refereeing or acting or doing stunt work. How did all this come about?
I do a lot of really, really white stuff. It's kind of weird. The stuff I like is really white.
I don't.
And it's weird because my dad was the only black guy in the yacht club when I grew up. I didn't understand that yacht clubs were mainly white people. I just thought, my dad said the only black guy who knew how to sail. He taught himself how to sail. He was a self-taught sailor, and he was very good at it. The grind comes from my parents. Like, I've never known. I don't know about you guys, but my age group is my dad's 81. My mom just turned 79. Like, these are older people. That age group is the end of the era where they never had a sick day. Like, there wasn't a day where dad didn't go to work because he was sick. He got up every day. If his arm got cut off in an industrial accident, he'd rub some butter on it and he'd go to work the next day. It's just what they did. And that's kind of the way that I was raised, is that you've got to get up and you got to go to work every day. No matter what you're doing, you go to work. Now, because the way my life is, I don't go to an office every day 9 to 5. I don't get in a car and make the commute every day, but I do get up every day and I work, whether I'm working out because I got to get ready for a particular part or a particular scene coming up, or I've got to learn some chart plotting because I'm trying to get my captain's license, or am I taking my acting lessons because I'm trying to get a particular feeling of a particular character honed in. Am I working on my voiceover stuff, trying to get an accent put into one of my characters? Like, every day you go to work. It doesn't necessarily mean going to an office, but that grind definitely comes from my parents. And one of the things, like my dad right now, he's like I said, he's 81. He retired to Mexico. He was changed jobs when he was in his 50s. He went back to school in his 50s to learn how to be a tugboat captain. Went out, became a tugboat captain. Went to Louisiana. Was down in Louisiana for a long time working. Then went to Mexico. Was in Mexico for a while, and then retired to Mexico. He's got a job now managing a dairy farm. He's back to work. He met some guy at the grocery store in line. He was like, look, I go to Australia for 3 months of every year. I need somebody who can manage the dairy farm while I'm gone. Can you do this thing for me? You don't have to do anything manual labor. You just have to check the guys every day. They don't steal any of the milk. They don't try to walk away with anything. They don't try to, steal anything from the farm. You got to check them in. You got to check them out. You got to be there at night. Here's the 3 shotguns. Here's the 9mm. Can you handle it? And my dad's like, yeah, I can do it. Like, no problem. I was like, what in the living hell, Poppy? Going back. He's like, yeah, it's fun for me. I don't really care. He goes, got to shoot a couple coyotes, to keep them away from the cattle, and especially when they give birth, that the new calves are in danger. She's like, yeah, I got to do that, and then I got to stop a couple of guys from trying to steal milk for the families. Like, and that's just the one rule the boss has. You do not steal from my space. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a hammer, a nut, a bolt, a nail, a screw, a quart of milk. I don't care what it is. They don't steal from me. And that's what my dad does. It's like, he still doesn't understand that ability of not going to work. And I've talked to, millennials. I'm sorry, I don't know your guys' age. I apologize.
No, you're
Just
fine.
because you both have beards, you look like you're 150. And it's not
You got a beard too, man. You're not that old.
But I do it on purpose so I can hide out in public. You meet somebody that's an old school MMA fan, they're like,
Yeah.
you look a lot like Frank Trigg. You ever get that? I'm like, yeah, I get that every day, man. It's pretty cool, man. Thanks, I appreciate it. I've been called worse things than that. And I go about my business. So like, it's just I'm hiding in public with my beard on. It makes
I
it
got
super
you.
easy.
You're not fooling anybody, by the way.
I fool a couple people.
Really?
Yeah. The beard definitely changes. And you see, if you look at my Instagram today, I posted an old photo of me fighting. It's from one of my Hawaii fights.
Yeah.
And it's like, doesn't look anything like me at all. Like nothing like I look like today. Like nothing at all. My tattoos aren't the same. My body shape's not the same. My face isn't the same. Add the beard to it, I totally can throw people off. If they're not like up to date right now. See me rap, steaming something, I definitely can hide out for sure. But you go to the coffee shops and see all these millennials, and they're sitting and they're working on their screenplays, and they're sitting there working on their novels, and they're going to be rich. They're 22, and they're going to be rich by the time they're 30, and be retired by the time they're 35. And you're like, dude, you're drinking coffee. You're not doing shit. Like, just stop. You're not grinding. You cut it out. I know you're telling your parents you're still living off your mom and dad. Like, I get it, but you're not going to be able to make it. A buddy of mine who I do a lot of stunt work with, we do a Wednesday morning breakfast with a bunch of other stunt guys and girls. We just sit down and we talk about life. We talk about different stuff. We talk about the industry. We talk about what to expect from different stunt coordinators, what to expect when you work with different actors, like these kind of things, like information exchange. It's a really big deal. We've been doing it for a couple months. Yeah. We get in the car because we live in the same building, so he's driving. My buddy Ryan's driving, and the first thing he says to me, "Hey man, I gotta tell you, like I'm pretty proud of myself." He just bought a new truck, a Ford Raptor. If you guys know what those are, they're very expensive trucks, but they're very big in the stunt community because you can take them into like Blue Cloud Ranch and Disney Ranch, which is, for those people that are listening to this later that are in the industry, understand it's a half mile over rocks and potholes, and if it's rained the day before, mudslides, trying to get in just to get to where you park your car to go to set to go work. You're like, these trucks are very important. They're the big 4-wheel drive trucks. And he bought one, and he's very excited about it. I was like, oh, he's gonna tell me he got some new lift kit, he got some new tires, he got it. What's that thing? Clay waxed when they do the special on the port. They're like some clay they put on it to get to shine on. Like I thought it would be some stupid car thing, he's a former professional drifter, so he comes from cars. So that's his whole thing is always about cars. I just don't care.
I'm not a car guy. I'm not a car guy either. Yeah,
dude, man, A to B. I'm happy if the seats have heat in them. Other than that, I really don't care. Windows roll down, the air conditioning come on, I'm good. That's all I need, man. And he's like, no, I'm moving. I go, oh, you're moving out? He goes, no, I'm moving across the hall. I got a better view, a bigger apartment, a bigger deck. It's a couple $100 more a month, but I got it all by myself. No co-signer. My mom didn't have to co-sign on it. I didn't have to have any help with the down payment. I got it all on my own. I'm like, holy shit, that's a pretty big deal for a 26-year-old. That is a pretty big deal. Mm-hmm. Like, I totally forgot what it was like to do that because I've been doing it for so long. I don't even remember like what it's like that. But most of the people in his age level don't understand getting up at 7 a.m. and driving an hour and a half just to say hi to somebody, hoping they'll hire you in a month. Maybe they'll give me one day of work in a month. I got to go say hi to this guy in rush hour traffic to drive back. Like, guys at his age group don't get it. I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive that I'm battling against all these guys because I'm battling guys that are half my age. Yeah. I'm battling guys that are legit half my age to fall down the same set of stairs, to get hit by the same car, to get lit on fire, to go through the same window. They're hiring these guys the same age. And I've been on set, and the reason why I get hired all the time is because, like you asked earlier, that grind that I do, where the 10th take, I'm going through that window again. I'm getting hit by that car again. I'm gonna fall down just as hard as I did the first take. And these guys that don't understand what it's like to grind, they don't understand the daily group of having to be, I had to do 3 classes, I failed a test, and now I got to go to practice for 3.5 hours. You're like, that's a rough living. Like when I was in college, that's the way it was. Those guys don't understand that on the 3rd take, they're like, we're good, right? We're done. Like, fool, that's just the 3rd take. They probably got the camera angle right. We got at least 7 more. Like, you better just settle and relax. Like, we're doing this a lot more. But we've already done it 3 times. Do I have to do more? All right, hey, Mike, I'll take the spot, move me in, move him out. Okay, all right, sure, I'll do it. And then a month later, I get a call to do it again because I'm willing to hit the ground. I'm willing to smack myself up. Like, I don't care. It's just what we do. It's that grind that I was raised by my parents that kind of taught me You've got to get up. You've got to go. You've got to show up. One is dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And the second thing is stop fucking complaining. Stop fucking bitching. Just, yeah, it sucks. Trust me, it sucks. It hurts every time I hit the ground. It sucks. It is not fun. All right? But then you get up, you do it again. What's fun? When they call you again for the next job. When they ask you to come back in to read for a different part. When instead of giving you 6 lines, they give you 12 lines because they know you can get it done. And they know that you're one-take Frank. They know that in one take, you're going to get it done. If we got to do it 9 more times, it's going to be the same way. They know that with me. They know for sure that's what they get when I show up. So they give me the opportunity, the chance to do it because I'm not scared to go do it. Okay, do it again. Do it again. Do it again. All right, 17, do it again. 18, do it again. It's going to suck tomorrow. I got to get my massage therapist on the phone, but I'm doing it. I'm going to get it done. And that's the reason why, and really that grind is from my parents. It really is from my parents. And my brothers are all the same way. We all do the same. We all grind our own different fields of life. And it's just kind of how it's just being raised and being around that community. I also was raised around a lot of immigrants, which helped out quite a bit, believe it or not. A lot of Turks, a lot of Jamaicans, a lot of Puerto Ricans. Well, Puerto Ricans obviously aren't immigrants, but that whole game plan of being in New York, you learn real quick that different cultures. I didn't realize that for a long time. I knew Puerto Rico was a territory. I just thought the people I hung around spoke Spanish and that they were from Cuba or from Mexico, and that's why they didn't speak English very well. I didn't realize that Puerto Rico, as a kid, that's what they spoke. They spoke Spanish. Mm-hmm. So when they moved to continental U.S., even though they're territory, they didn't understand English. They had to learn. And you watch these people show up with $100 in their pocket and can say yes and can say no, and that's all they understand in English. That's it. They have no idea what you're asking them, but that's all they can say is yes or no. That's all they got. And they survived and became a lot of them. Like now, I look at the kids I grew up with, multimillionaires, and feel just first generation. I have a buddy of mine from his parents were born and raised in Turkey. He was born in Turkey, moved over to his 4, and is super successful. I'm amazed at how well he's become underneath all the scrutiny, especially being Muslim in the U.S. in this time frame. Yeah. Being from Turkey and being Muslim in this time frame is super successful. You're like, how'd you pull it off? And married an Orthodox Jew, which blows my mind. I'm like, whoa, how did you pull this off? And their kids are great. His marriage is great. His life is great. I'm like, this is the neighborhood I grew up in. So it's my parents. I want to say my parents, but really, the neighborhood I was in was so multicultural and had so many different views and so many different ways of surviving. We had the guy that never owned a car ever in his life and took the bus everywhere, to the family that had nothing but Mercedes and BMWs the entire time that I knew him, and both were just as successful. One guy was like, I don't like driving in the U.S., so I'm not going to drive in the U.S. I'm going to take the bus everywhere. And this is what he did. And the other people were like, the American dream is to have a car and a big home, and I'm going to have the big car and the big home, and that's what I'm going to do. And that's just the way people did it. But that whole community, all of us still, we just get up in the morning, go to work. Whatever the work is, we go do it.
Yeah. What do you think that is? Because you see that more and more. I come from pretty humble upbringings, and but I see.
Were you born in the U.S.?
What's that?
Were you born in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Were you raised in the U.S.?
Yeah.
There's nothing humble about being an American. There's not one fucking thing that's humble.
Fair enough.
Being an American. If you're born and raised here, you're not humble. It doesn't work that way.
Fair enough. Well, what do you think it is with the situation with the younger generation coming up? Because not all of them, but some of them. It seems like the drive. Because I was raised by my grandfather, the same thing. He's like one of these guys where it's like you work and it's what you do, right? What is it that you think that newer generation's losing, or they don't seem to possess?
Did you get beat as a child? You got spanked.
Oh yeah.
You got spanked, right?
Oh, yeah.
So now it's called beating. Oh, you beat your kids. We got spanked. Mm-hmm. We had consequences to our actions. Mm. When true story, got in a fight down the street with this neighborhood kid. Beat him up pretty good. Got beat up by his older brother pretty good. The dad of the house came out, beat up the older brother, for smacking him around for beating me up. Because the kid was much older than me. It wasn't like a couple years. He was much older than me. It was like an adult versus a child. This is just childhood stuff, right? Okay. As he's hitting him, it's you don't go after a kid that's that much smaller than you. You get your other brother to do it. You don't do it because it's not good for you as an adult to be beating. He's calling kid adult. He's probably, I was 8, kid's probably 14, 15, I got home, my dad beat me up. Why? Because I got in a fight with the neighborhood kid that I should have been in a fight with over a stupid situation. Mm. I don't remember the reason why I got in a fight, but it was dumb. But I know the result of what happened when I got home. Hmm. I won the fight. I still got disciplined when I got home. I learned you're not supposed to fight out in the street. You're not supposed to do it. There's no reason to do it without it being a good reason. I had a horrible, pathetic reason. He called me something stupid, or he said something dumb about my mom, or, kid stuff. Yeah. But I still got in the fight for it. He's like, no, you don't get in a fight for that. What the hell? That's just dumb stuff. Why are you doing that? I took a whooping. When my dad raises his voice to me from Mexico via text message, I still can see his face. Oh yeah, I'm in trouble. I got to, okay. Let me rethink about what I'm about to say. Let me react. I have a consequence to my action. It's on, we see it all the time on the internet. A lot of you kids, or a lot of you people have gotten comfortable saying stuff on social media and not getting slapped in the mouth.
Sure, I agree.
When I was being raised, you didn't say anything. We didn't have social media, obviously.
Right.
But you wouldn't say anything to somebody else. You wouldn't say it to their face.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're not gonna, I'm not going to tell one friend about my other friend. What I'm not going to say to my friend when he shows up. Like, no, I said it. You slept with so-and-so down the street. She's fat and ugly. What do you want? And they would go, yeah, you're right, man. She's fat and ugly, but I got it in. What'd you do? I was at home by myself playing Xbox. Like, it wasn't even Xbox back then. It was Nintendo and Atari.
Yeah,
so it was like, you know what I'm saying? But like I still said to his face, there's no consequences for a lot of these kids.
Sure.
If you your kid's stealing stuff off the shelf at the grocery store, and you smack them on the behind one time for taking the time to put it back, child services get called.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, if you get disciplined at your house, in the privacy of your own home, and you go to high school and mention to one of your girlfriends, right, or one of your boyfriends in school, and they go tell a teacher, that teacher's supposed to call child services.
Wow. Yeah.
It doesn't even know what the situation is, or what's even being told, if it's even true.
Mm-hmm.
Just hearsay. No, child services get called out because you're hitting your child. What are you talking about? And this is the reason why we have these problems. We didn't have gangbangers. You know, we had mobsters. We had upper level, you know, cartel guys. We didn't have any gangbangers running around doing drive-bys and stuff like that was growing up. Wanna know why? Because grandma used to put the belt on. You learn real quick. I'm not gonna do drive-by shooting because I have to go and see grandma. This is gonna be horrible for me. This is not gonna be a good thing for me. I'm good. I'm gonna stay over here at the side of the street. You guys do what you want to do over there. I'm gonna stay over here on my side. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the real thing. There's no consequence to anybody's actions anymore.
Yeah. My grandpa made me go, like, I remember the first time getting whipped by him, he made me go pick off the branch off the tree and get beat over the back with a switch.
Oh, 100%. There's not a discipline action in my life. I don't care what it is that I didn't deserve. Right? Every disciplinary action I've ever gotten in my entire life, I deserve. 100%. Do I accept the consequence of that action? You better believe it. You know, and I knew that was coming. And a couple times, I was like, I am for sure going to get in trouble for this one. But I'm going to do what's right, and I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to do what's right, and I'm going to see what happens. And sometimes doing what's right is not always popular. And sometimes you get in trouble for it. I got in trouble for some things that were not popular, but it was the right thing to do at the right time, and I'm okay with it because I did the right thing. Today's kids are like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that, man. That's not right. That's not right. What do you mean it's not right? Somebody's got to tap your kid in the behind for screwing around. Like, they got to understand there are negative problems to doing certain actions. And what is that action?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I've got 2 little kids, and you know, it's a weird thing. Like, you don't want to scare them into doing the right. You know what I mean? You don't want to, like, it's almost like fear. And I don't know. This is just a weird thing for me because I've got little kids, and I don't know if I could do that. I never have. I don't know if I could. You know,
my son is the same way. My son, my granddaughter is the same way. He will not. He's like, nope. Nope. Just won't do it. But you're not scaring them into doing the right thing. You're showing them what the wrong thing is, and the wrong thing has consequences. The right things have consequences too.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
The right things give you great life and a good neighborhood, and people like you, and you can smile and hold your head up and puff your chest out because you did the right thing. Bad things, there have to be consequences. You have to give them, what is it? Time out? Not good enough. Put them in the room with their 55-inch TV and their Xbox 10. Like, what does that do? You know, take away their phone. Like, what's the consequences to their action? And the stuff they're doing right now is not working, and you can see it. Plus, you know, we're not as active as used to be. Most of the kids now sit at home and they're on their iPads and their computers and their phones, and they're not actually out there being physical. And I remember growing up, and you know, those in the winter, every place in the entire universe to me would be frozen over with ice and thick snow, and you're like, it's never gonna melt except for this one green box by the telephone pole was always warm and never had any snow on it. We go sit on that thing all day long. It's a big transformer. You're not supposed to sit on those things, but I sure as hell did. They were warm as balls, man. I was outside all day because I wasn't allowed to come in the house. When the sun was up, it was the weekend, I was gone until the sun went down. I figured it out. We drank from water hoses. We learned how to break the ice out of the water hoses and get water out of the water hose in the middle of the winter. We stayed outside all day. And we played, and that's just what we did, and we survived somehow. You know, didn't have bike helmets, didn't have, you know, is it safer now? For sure. Yeah, should I have a bike helmet on back then? I absolutely should have, but we didn't. Yeah. We didn't have them back then. But now, do I want to see kids outside playing and doing crazy stuff and all that, absolutely, 100%. I grew up with guns and bows and arrows and shooting 12 gauges and playing in the dirt and doing all sorts of stuff on, during the week, because I was living with my mom out in the country, and then the weekends I was in the city with my dad, and that was the life. And you learn how to eat, sit up straight in the restaurant, and be around adults and not act like an idiot, and not like, no, I don't like this, you don't like it, don't eat. Sit there, keep your mouth shut. This is what it is.
Well, how did so you did a lot of things, different things growing up as a young kid. You swam, you did wrestling. Tell me about wrestling. How did that come to the forefront and be kind of a big part of your life and eventually turn into an MMA career?
My 6th grade friend, Felix Castro, was like, hey, come out and try. You should try this winter sport called wrestling. I had a brother that was at the Naval Academy that was wrestling for the Naval Academy, and I had never wrestled before and even thought about wrestling. I was like swimming. My whole goal was to make an Olympic team in swimming. That was my thing. Then my parents got divorced and we moved, and swimming was off the chart because I was swimming in the country. There's no swimming pools out there. The closest one was Brockport, from where we were living, was like 45 minutes away, and so I just couldn't get there anymore. Not with all the kids in the house and new home and all this other crap. So I played soccer in the fall a little bit, didn't know what I was doing, but kind of played a little bit, and then got into wrestling when I was 12, 6th grade, which was 6 years later than most other people. Everybody else starts around 6, and didn't do very well my first couple of years. Just kind of tried it out, liked it, but wasn't great at it, and then got into it more and did more and more stuff and fell in love with it. I was kind of soccer, baseball, wrestling kind of throughout the school years, like throughout the whole seasons, whatever, until my junior year. And I finally said, I'm just going to stick with wrestling because that's what I want to do in college. And if that gets me a scholarship, I'm going to do it. And then got into wrestling, and then that got me into college, and that got me a degree. And then I was logical next step for a guy that couldn't make the Olympic team. I could not beat Joe Williams, who was the guy at the time. Couldn't beat Brian Dolph, who'd come back. Couldn't beat Brandon Slay, who ended up going and ended up getting the silver, but then Leopold cheated, so he ended up getting the gold anyway. Like, I couldn't beat those guys. I was like, I'm just not going to make a team for me. It's just not going to happen. So what am I going to do next? The next logical step back then, we're talking, 2000. Mm-hmm. It's like the next logical step was to start fighting because that's what was going on. Not to mention, I had Severin's brother was my coach in junior college. And he's talking about, my brother's fighting. And he's making like $80,000 and beating these guys up. And, and he's on TV and this thing. I don't know what you guys ever heard of this thing called pay-per-view. And he does it all the time. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. And it was just kind of in the back of my head and never really thought about it, and was in Oklahoma wrestling. And then my judo coach was like, hey, do you want to come down to Texas and make a couple $100 for me? I was like, sure. I thought I was having to go collect some money from him because he owned a fence building business. And I thought somebody owed him money. He was like, no, it's a fight. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go fight, see what happens. I did okay at it. I was like, oh, okay, well, I can start paying for my trips overseas, because if you're not in the top 3, they don't pay for you. The U.S. gives you a discount, but they don't pay for your trip. You have to pay for it out of your own pocket. Back in my day, it might be different now. I'm not sure. And I was like, okay, well, I can fight, use that money to pay for my trips overseas to go wrestle. So that's what I was doing, and then realized I can't do it. I already had a couple matches. I'm like, let me go move into this thing full time. Made a decision, moved to LA, and then fought. And that was it.
Now, you said you got a degree and stuff, so I'm always curious about this because you guys, especially you guys that were in that early generation, you guys were the pioneers of the sport, and it just was a much different animal. Like you see guys now where, people are throwing around money and stuff like that, and you guys were fighting back before there was a ton of money in it. What made you go fight opposed to saying, hey, like, I got this degree, I'm going to go like do a 9-to-5 type job, but then you were like, you got into the fighting thing, you did a little bit of it, and you're like, I'm going to run with this and see what happens. What do you think drew you to that?
The competition. I still wasn't done competing, even though I knew I couldn't win the biggest show on the planet in wrestling, which was win the Olympic Games once every 4 years. I knew I couldn't make that. I couldn't even make a world team to make, try to win the worlds, which is the 3 years leading up to and the 3 years after. So every year you have a worlds, and then you have Olympics, and then you have the worlds for 3 years, and then you have the Olympics. And I couldn't make those teams, but I wasn't done competing. I still had a competitive nature. Still wanted to compete a little more. I was like, what am I going to do? Next step was just jump into fighting full time. My degree was in politics. So that means I have to stabilize someplace and have to settle down and get established in the political market of that area. And I really didn't want to do that. After I got done with my degree, I was like, I really don't like politics. I really don't like the way that they're handled. Even now, they're worse than they were back when, And when I was doing it, you know, in the 2000s, when I was looking into it in the late 90s, like now politics are even worse. Like it's not about what reality is. No one cares what the truth is.
Sure.
They care about how it makes you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So politics now is, how does it make you feel? Well, that's not politics. Politics is not how it makes you feel. Politics is about truth. What's the truth for me? What politicians give me the right amount of truth that leads me to believe that I'm able to follow that person? And will that person give that truth to the manner of where it's going to work for me, where it's going to better my life and better my family's life? That's the real answer to politics. Now it's all about, how does it make you feel? Like, you get on Facebook and they're like, I see all these memes, all this crap people putting out, and you're just like, this has nothing to do with what's happening right now in the political culture of the U.S. This is literally that you don't like Bernie Sanders. You don't like a Democrat. So because you don't, like when Bernie was third, nobody had anything to say about Bernie Sanders. Now that he's winning, now everyone's got something to say about Bernie Sanders. I never liked him to begin with. Go back 3 months ago, what were you saying? What were you talking about? You want to talk about Joe Biden? How come you want to talk about Bernie Sanders? Now all of a sudden you're talking about Bernie because he's winning. You only care about jumping down the winner. Well, why are you doing that? Because everybody wants to jump on the winner. It's always been that way.
Sure.
You know, we always hate, if we're not a fan of the winning team, we always hate the winning team. That's how it is, right? I mean, no one likes the Patriots because they keep winning. Now if they're not winning, now it's a question, is Tom Brady coming back? Now no one really cares. Like, no one has anything to say about it, right? But if Tom Brady comes back, all of a sudden we're talking about how bad the Patriots are again. Same thing. It's like, how does it make you feel? It's not the reality of it. It's not the truth of it. What's the real truth of what's going on? What's the real truth that's happening? That's why I don't want to have anything to do with politics. I had to find somebody to make money. I'm like, I can do pretty good at this. Now, the reality of it is, when I left the sport, I never retired from the sport. I just stopped taking fights, right? There was never an official retirement. I never did an official retirement because we don't have to. Guys that officially retire from the sport, to me, it's kind of silly. It's like officially retiring from boxing. Like, it's kind of silly. Why are you officially retiring? Just don't take any more fights. You haven't fought in a year anyway. No one really cares anymore. We've already moved on to the next 5 guys that piqued our interest. We just move on. If by contract you have to retire because you have 3 fights left for, like, say, the UFC or Bellator, and you want to retire to get out of that contract, that's one thing. You have an endorsement deal that gives you a bonus. Like a friend of mine, Mo Green, used to be the fastest man in the world until Usain Bolt came on. And when Usain Bolt came on, beat his records, but Mo was the fastest man in the world for a period of time. He officially had to retire because he had an Adidas contract that paid him X amount of money when he retired. So he's like, I need that money. So I got to officially retire because I am done running. I can't win anymore. I'm hurting my hamstrings every time I run. I'm out. I need that money. Okay, so now that makes sense to officially retire. But if you have none of that, why are you officially retiring? What, to tell your fans that you're done? We already kind of knew you were done. You've lost your last 3. We don't really care anymore. We've already moved on to Conor McGregor, okay? We've already moved on to his next fight. We don't really care about you. This is how the game works. So I never really retired. I just stopped taking fights because I had a shot to do stunts. Episode 3 on season 4 of Hawaii Five-0, I went down a flight of stairs. My first SAG stunt job for Jeff Cadiente. I got that check, and I was like, why in the fuck am I still fighting? This makes no sense. This check is so good compared to what I make when I fight. If I look at an 8-week training camp, when you can't do anything else, right? I can only be in a training camp for 8 weeks. You can't do appearances, can't do any other stuff. You have to make all the money you can. You have to save all the money you can for that 8 weeks so that when you win that fight, you can pay back that money or revamp your savings account, right? I took that check I got for that one day on Hawaii Five-0 and went, if I worked 2 days a week over that 8 weeks, I would quadruple my money on what I'm getting paid to fight now, right? Because I was past my prime. I'm really not worth that much. So at that point, I really wasn't worth that much. I want to say I was worth a lot more than what they were paying me, but the reality of it is how many fans would come buy seats, how many people are going to pay to watch you fight. That's the reality of it is, right? If all the fans all collectively all of a sudden turned on John Jones, just today, right now, turn on John Jones, so we're not going to watch any more of this shit, and he comes back and fights one time, and no one buys a pay-per-view, and no one wants to buy seats for it, and the arena's half empty because they really don't care about him fighting, all of a sudden his value is going to go down. Yeah. And that's the reality of it. My value had left already. So it's like, I can make so much more money doing this stuff. Then don't even get into acting. Like, you get me acting, because like stunts, you get hurt. Like, you get hurt, obviously, getting lit on fire. You're still getting lit on fire, right? I'm getting shot at. It's blanks. We're still getting shot at, okay? We lost Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, because he got shot in the crow with a live round that was putting the bullet wrong. Somebody screwed up and chambered that round in. right? And that guy got killed. It's real shit we do. It's real life shit. Like tomorrow I'm getting shot at out in the Afghan desert for SEAL team, and it's real bullets coming at. It's real guns firing blanks. If one of those is live and I get hit, I'm going to a hospital. This is what's going to happen. Acting, you don't have any of those problems. It's just words and dialogue and making people believe what I'm feeling is real. That's the whole thing. It's a different kind of feeling that you're trying to make this thing happen. Those numbers, man, you can't even equate it. Like, it's just incredible the amount they can get. So for me, making that jump out into stunts and acting was just logical. Just like me jumping into fighting after wrestling. It was just logical. It's just an easy way to go from not making any money as an amateur wrestler to making money as a pro fighter to making more money that I can make right now, because the money was never there in my generation. It really wasn't.
It wasn't.
Hughes made money after he fought Hoyce. The rumor is, and it's not, you haven't got that, Matt. I never got a straight answer out of him because he's kind of that way. He just won't give you a straight answer. Whether or not, but the rumor was he got paid, he got $1 million bonus in the locker room after he submitted Hoyce, right? Referee stoppage. Hoyce obviously didn't tap, but good stoppage by the ref. I forget who it was, but it was a good stoppage. He got $1 million bonus. That was like the first, like, holy crap, really big payday that we started getting. The money was there. I was still fighting, but I wasn't getting those kind of paydays. I wasn't getting locker room bonuses. It just wasn't happening for me because I wasn't that good anymore, And so for me, my era, we all moved on. We all had to find other things to do, And that my other thing to do was going to stunt work full time and pick up some acting gigs, and then the voiceovers are starting to pick up, and that's just kind of the grind that you put yourself through. And it just made logic. It was just logical for me. Like, this is the next thing I need to move into.
So how did you go? Like, how did the first stunt scene come about? Like, how did that whole thing come about?
You guys remember TJ Thompson?
I'm not sure.
So you will when I explain him to you.
Okay.
TJ was the promoter for all the biggest fights in Hawaii. He owned Icon. He helped broker Super Bowl. Obviously, was the Penn family, but he put it all together. So when I fought Miller and I fought Lawler, it was for TJ Thompson.
Okay.
TJ moved into stunts after the Hawaiian fight scene kind of moved away. Now when Bellator goes to Hawaii, it's TJ that helps. He's the local promoter that helps put it together, right? So TJ is like, hey, I'm robbing a bank. You want to come watch me rob this bank? I'm like, yeah, I would love to. I want to come see it. Let's come check it out. And I'm standing there, and this guy comes up next to me afterwards. We start talking. He knows more about my fights than I did. He was actually a real legit super fan. And he's like, hey, do you want to come work on Friday? And it's like a Tuesday. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll come work. That'd be great to be an extra on set. And I show up and I get this contract, and I'm like, dude, guys, I can't do this. I'm not in a union. Like, I can't be a part of this because this is a union show. They're like, you're Taft-Hartley'd in. Don't worry about it. No one else can do what you're gonna do. So come on in, do this scene for us. And that was it. That was my start. I got really lucky. Most guys don't do that. Most guys have I did some super low budget straight to DVD stuff. I did some horror stuff for $100 a day for 8 hours. Like, it's a grind. It's really hard to get through. Like, I got lucky because I came from a sport that people recognized and people knew. And even now when I get on set, I'll be talking to a PA. Like, oh, hey, Mr. Trigg, hey, just want to say I'm a huge fan. Glad to have you on here. Saw you in the call sheet. Can't wait. Your honey wagon's right here, whatever, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, they know me from stunts because I've done a bunch of stunts, whatever. And you walk out and you're in your wardrobe like, hey, man, what that one fight with Matt Hughes? You're like, oh, you're a fight fan. Oh, okay. Okay. So that, and you talk fights all day. And so I've been blessed. I've been really lucky that way. Same thing with Jay Haran. Same thing with Mike Pyle. They all moved into stunts full time. And the reason why they get an upper leg is because people know them from fighting.
Yeah, that's cool. So what's the training like? Because, obviously you got to be in shape. You've got to be able to do certain things for those stunts. What is the training like? And is there anything specific you have to do getting ready for, like, stunt work?
Because I do a lot of driving. So I had to do a lot of specific driving stuff. I'm actually trying to save up some money right now to go to a drifting course, learn how to drift cars a little better. I'm not even decent. I'm below decent at drifting, but I want to be better at it because there was a lot of times you need to be able to drift the car around a corner and slide it up. You come around a corner, you slide it in, and you want to go back up the other way or pull a 180. Like, there's better driving skill that I want to get better at. So I'm saving up some money right now to go take this drifting course. So that course you have to take. I shoot guns a lot. I have I own a gym downtown LA called Strong Sports, and one of my clients is a shooting instructor for LAPD, and so I go shoot with him quite a bit, and I get real LAPD gun tact. He's also a former recon Marine sniper, so I get real military training on how to shoot, how to act, how to maneuver. So when you're shooting, like SEAL team, and when I do LA's Finest, and I work on SWAT, and we do there's a bunch of other. I'm sorry, the Rookie. and these cop shows, you actually have to know how to handle a gun. You actually have to know how to, and a lot of it now is shoot, drop the mag, reload, and I shoot both hands. I shoot both left and right, so I can do both on both sides, no matter what the weapon is. I can kind of, it takes me a couple of minutes because sometimes they give you like a weird like Israeli, like I played on Reno 911, just came back, and I played oh gosh, what's it called? Forgive me, the folks at home will know what it is. It's a Jewish service that's all volunteer, but it's an ambulance service specifically for the Jewish culture, and it caters specifically to Jews in their culture. But they're also, most of them are ex-Mossad guys, so they're all armed, they're all weaponized. Like they go in, like when riots are happening and one of the tribe is going down, they come in and they're ready to go. They can go in and get the IVs in them, get them ready, get them to the hospital, and they can shoot back if they get shot at. Like they're total legit badasses. But that's what I played on Reno 911. And they gave me this weird Israeli weapon that I had never handled before. I didn't know what the hell it was or how to do it. It took me a good half hour of me. They call it, and excuse the language, they call it finger fucking. I was finger fucking the weapon because I didn't know how to do it. Like I was like, what the hell am I doing with this thing? And I actually had the props guy like, hey, can you explain this thing to me? I don't understand what's going on with this weapon. Like I really don't get it. He's like, oh, it's just this. Took me some time to figure it out, but because of my gun knowledge, I was able to handle it. And we had to do a magazine trade, which probably won't make the scene, but we had to do a magazine trade where I emptied out, I load and reload, and we come out. And mind you, it's Reno 911, so it's a comedy show. Right. So we're playing straight lace the whole time. We're Officer Short Pants is in the back, like, excuse me, hey, excuse me, can you come? I'm like, dude, the scene is incredible. I can't wait for it to come out. It's amazing. But it was like trying to do that seriousness take on that piece because of my gun weaponry. So I had to train in guns, I had to train in cars, but the longest time I really had to train, I took a lot of time, my friends Tori Vogel and Kieran Gallagher, I spent 6 months, 2 days a week, learning how to, this is gonna blow your mind, learning how to fight. I had no idea how to fight on TV.
Fighting for the camera, right? Yeah. Like for the show.
No clue. Yeah. I'm a fighter, man. I can do this all day long. No problem. I'm gonna beat up. Dude, this is easy as pie. They showed me the first 3 times I went and did it. And they showed me they filmed it and showed me the playback. I was like, none of this works. You can't see anything. None of this works. So I had to completely change my style of how I fight on camera. Completely change how I do stuff. You really have to open up big and wide. You have to make things look like a lot of the stuff on John Wick. You're like, that stuff never works in real life. It doesn't work in real life. But you go, but it works for camera. Yes. That's what it's supposed to work for. Right. It's supposed to make the people at home believe this is actually going to work. You're like, that stuff doesn't work. Like, a guy does that to me, I'm getting out of there. I'm going to get up and stab him twice and I'm gone. But you're like, no, okay, that makes sense. The whole scene, the whole thing you put together, like, that is beautiful art. That is an amazing piece of artwork that was just put down in front of me. The editor is a true painter. You know, the master, the fight coordinator is a guy that knows how to work with clay. He just gets everyone in the right spot, makes them work the right way, and it's just incredible how this all comes together. But I had to relearn, man, and it took a long time. I was like, I got this quick. No, you don't. You suck. And I sucked for real. It was horrible. And I just spent a lot of time on how to fight. And now because of that, I do a bunch of fight scenes and get kicked downstairs. I do a bunch of fight scenes and get hit by a car. It's like, well, this is great. I'm in the middle of this fight scene. I just get blasted by a car. That's how you get killed off the show. This is awesome.
Is there a scene that maybe, this is kind of a 2-part question. Is there a scene that maybe is very memorable to you? And also, is there a stunt that you're just like, no, I can't. I'm not risking that, or I'm not going to do that stunt? Or are you kind of one of those guys that just will do anything?
There are stunts that I will not do, but I have not ever come across them. I don't get called for those kind of stunts. Now, I have a little bit of a reputation of being a hard ass on set, and it's because the way that I ask questions. Why are you doing it this way? Why are we doing it this way? Because I've never seen it done this way. I just want you to be able to explain to me why we're doing it this way. Now, I'm not a high fall guy. I will pretty much do any fall under 40 feet. But once you get over 45, 50 feet, I start getting a little nervous. I don't like doing those falls. I will do it, if that's like, hey, you're doubling a guy, you're the guy we got to use, okay, I'm going to do it. You start getting to 60 feet, I'm out, guys. Sorry, you got to call somebody else in. That's not my game. There are people out there that's what they do. My buddy Tommy, he does it on fire out of windows. Like 60 feet, 80 feet, 90 feet, 100 feet. You're like, that's just incredible. Has no problem. Like on fire, flailing, going on his way down. Bam, hits his back and gets blown out when he hits the airbag. Like, I'm like, stuff like that. Not me, man. That's other stuff. The other thing I can't do is precision driving. Now, this has a little category where they're trying to use a stunt. Oh, they're precision drivers. Really what they are is ND drivers, nondescript drivers in the back. You don't really know what they're doing. They're not precision drivers. When I say precision drivers, I'm talking the professional drift guys, the professional open wheel Formula One guys. They come in and they do shit with cars that will blow your fucking minds. They make a little shitbox POS Ford do the most incredible stuff on the streets. You're like, I didn't know a car could do anything like that. Like, I see those guys drive a car. I'm like, there is no reason for any of us ever to be in an accident. If you can make a car move like that, there's no one ever can ever hit you. It's like they have magnets on their car. Like, they just, you can't touch me, haha, and they just drift around you, slide around. I'm like, the stuff they do with cars is incredible. That's stuff I cannot do. You call me for it. Hey, I appreciate the phone call. I really understand. I really would love to do it. I want to tell you I can do it because I need the money, but can't do it, man. You got to call somebody else. But that's it with everybody in the industry. Everybody in the industry can do things and they can't do things. And what happens is you get these young kids. They go in. They go, oh yeah, I can do that. And then hey, I can fight on camera. And then they call me. Hey, what time? When do you have practice next? When are you training next? I teach class on Monday. Hey, can you show me a couple of things after class on Monday of how to stunt fight? Sure, it's $500 an hour. Well, you're gonna charge me? Well, yeah, because you're gonna go use this for a stunt scene.
That's right.
You got hired for a job and you can't do it, right? Well, no. Okay, so why are you calling me then? You've had my number for 9 months. Why are you calling me now? Why now? It's been 9 months. Oh, because you got a job and you can't do it. That's part of the issue. So for me, I say no to a lot of stuff, but not because I can't do it. But they don't call me because I can't do it. They also people know that I can't do it. They're like, and I'm going to ask questions. How high? What's the adjustment? What's going to happen? How many times do you think we have to do this thing? Is the director on here one of these guys who wants it done 20 times or a guy who wants it done one time? Like, what's he want? I got to figure this stuff out. But, you call me for a 30-footer, head first, no problem. I'll get to my ass. Don't worry about it. We'll be okay. Like, not a problem. But you start getting those higher levels, I get a little nervous. I start getting a little and then a lot of deep, that's it. That's really the only thing I really don't do is high falls. Pretty much, I can do pretty much anything else that is required of a normal stunt guy. And you got guys that only get called for motorcycle riding. And, all they're going to do is motocross stuff. My friend Tom McComas, he does all the motorcycle driving. Any movie that's ever had motorcycle driving in it, he's one of the guys. Doesn't matter what the movie is, he's one of the guys, And that's on two wheels. My friend Heather, she's another one. Anytime you use a female on two wheels, she's pretty much her. That's a white girl, That's what it is. It's pretty much her, unless they can do a full block out, full block off, full sleeve, big gloves, whatever. It's pretty much, that's just who it is, and that's what they do. It's not my game. And there's enough work for all of us. You never try to impede on somebody else's job by saying you do something when you have a friend that can actually do it better. Mm-hmm. Let them take the job. If I can't get the job, I hope one of my friends gets the job. That's what you want.
Yeah. That's good. I wanted to kind of touch back a lot of fighters about fighting really fast. A lot of fighters have a hard time walking away. It's a big thing. They stick around way longer than they should. Maybe they know in the back of their head that it's time or their body's not performing the same. How was that transition to you to not necessarily retire, but stop taking fights? How did you go about that?
Money.
Just money. Okay.
Money. It's straight money. I mean, it's straight financial. How can I provide? Can I fight? At the time, I think I was getting 15 and 15. Like, can I fight? I'd have to fight 4 or 5 times a year to make enough money to survive. Because remember, whatever you bring home, half is gone.
Yeah.
By the time you pay everybody, by the time you give everything out, you pay your tax, whatever. My last fight, I owed $2,500.
Oh wow!
I lost my last fight. I owed $2,500 when I was done. I was like, dude, this is stupid. Like, it's financial. My transition was super easy, financial. And then people are like, do you miss fighting? Do you miss fighting? No, man, I ref. Mm-hmm. I'm in the middle of it. Like Friday, I drive up from LA to Fresno to go ref Combates America. And it's like, I don't miss it at all because I'm in it all the time. I see people getting hit. I'm as close to the fight as you can possibly be without being in the fight. Like, I'm legitimately right there. I get the same smell. I get the same sweatboard on me. I get the same blood on me, except I don't get cut. I don't get hit. And then the adrenaline rush that everyone talks about. What about the adrenaline walking down? Have you ever stood up and looked down 30 feet and you got to land in a bunch of boxes?
Oh, sure, man. I'm sure.
Have you ever seen a 5,000-pound car coming at you? Like, you're like, I'm about to get hit by this thing. It's not going very fast, but it's still going to hit you.
Yeah.
You're still getting hit by a car. Like, have you, what kind of adrenaline are you getting for that? Like, I'm talking about going tomorrow and getting shot up on SEAL team. And I'm like, am I going to land on some rocks? Am I going down a cliff? Am I rolling down a hill? Like, what's going to happen? Afghanistan's rocky and mountainous. Who knows what the scene's going to be? You got to think about that stuff. That's the adrenaline rush I get now. So Me walking away was simple. The other thing, the problem with a lot of these fighters that hang on too long, stay around too much, or retire and unretire, money.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, money.
Sure.
There's a lot of guys, and you can figure it out on your own, that came back after being retired and then fought and then retired again. And like, why'd you come back then? Like, what the hell's the point? Oh, I want to win one more time. No, dummy. That's not why you came back. You came back because you need money.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the reason is, whatever you're trying to do, you didn't have a secondary plan. You weren't prepared for that secondary plan. And the thing is that, especially with guys that are on top, you know, you're really good guys like your Hugheses and your BJ Penns and your St. Pierres that have all retired. Well, Matt didn't, but the other guys came back. Matt was thinking about it before he got hit by the train. Thinking about coming back and fighting again and then doing all that kind of crap. They didn't have a secondary plan. They didn't have an idea what was going to happen. And understanding that the grind after, you're back to square one. You're back to a zero guy. So that grind of it took me a long time to become a good fighter. It didn't happen overnight. It took me a long time in the minor leagues, becoming good, trying to get into the big show. And they got in the big show and didn't win and got put out. They got put out of the show. And they got back into the big show and didn't win and got put out again. So it wasn't like, you know, a constant always at the top. You have to grind. People forget that when you get out and move on to something else, it's a grind. It takes you that 10-year, you know, you have to do something for 10 years before you're a master at it. Well, guess what? You're back at year one. You have to go. It takes you 10 years to get back into it again. You know, things are not easy. People forget that. Oh, you got to grind. You got to grind. And then the other thing is that a lot of fighters, I believe, this goes for athletes. Because I used to work for the Atlanta Falcons as one of the strength and conditioning guys, and I saw a couple of guys that retired when I was there. They were forced retired. Like, bodies couldn't handle anymore. They were told to go home. They weren't going to make their contracts. You know, that kind of thing. Their style of living was very, very high. Right. So you need a lot of money to be able to stay at that cost of living. Like, if let's say you're used to making, I don't know, whatever, $5 million a year, and all of a sudden you're not making any money, but you have spent $4.5 million a year, you know, every year. I put $500,000 away, right, for a couple of years. Now I'll be like, but you only got $3 million in the bank. That's not enough to get you through a year of your living. You have to cut back. And honestly, I really believe in this because it happened to me more than once. Their partners that they're with don't understand what's happening, so they don't cut back their spending, they don't cut back their living, they don't cut back on what they're doing, and they have no vision of like, oh yeah, okay, we're in a transitional period.
Sure.
We have to suck ourselves through this, right? And it's tough. It's really hard. And so you're like, how do I make money? What can I do? I have this dream of I don't know, opening up a Hallmark store. That's my dream, is open up a Hallmark store. But it's going to be expensive and it's going to be hard, and I'm going to have to work, 90 hours a week, and I'm not going to be able to take any days off for 2 years, and I'm going to have to be there all the time making this grind. And then they're complaining, you're never home, and where's the money to send a kid to daycare? Well, you're staying home. How come you're not taking care of it? Why we got? Well, because I need to still have my lunches with the girls on Wednesdays. I still need to go with my 5 martini dinners on Thursdays. I still got well, no, we got to back off, and that happens all the time with all these ex-athletes. So like, the partners drain and they suck all their money away, and they're not helping the team. They're not part of the team. They're only there for themselves. Ultimately, if you look at it, you're like, okay, well, that's part of the problem. So that's why the transition for a lot of these fighters is really difficult, because they don't have a backup plan. They don't know what they're going to do next, what's going to happen, and they're not preparing for that future. The managers now, like Brian Butler, is a really good friend of mine, and I really love the fact of how he tells his athletes, look, you guys got to have a plan of what's going to happen. This show you're on right now could literally end. You could be in practice and get run over from behind in the middle of practice. Middle of practice. Not your fault. You're sparring with somebody else. You get run over from behind. It blows your ACL. On the way over, your partner doesn't realize you're falling, steps forward and kicks you in the jaw on the way down. You blow your ACL out. You break your jaw. You blow out your eardrum, and all of a sudden now you can't fight ever again. Right? You're out for a year, and the eardrum equilibrium now is messed up for the rest of your life, and you're done. Like, how do you fight next? What are you going to do? What's your next step? Oh yeah, I don't have a next step. Better plan on it now from day one. From day one, the first dollar you make, you better have a secondary plan. Why did I get a degree? Because I knew wrestling was going to end at some point. That's why I chose the University of Oklahoma for my degree, because I knew that Jack Spates, the head coach, no matter how good I was at wrestling or how bad I was at wrestling, was going to make sure I was going to get a degree. So I'd have a secondary plan. So I got my degree. Never used it. Never had anything to do with it. But I have that degree to fall back on if I needed it. Never had to use it. I had one of the lucky ones. Didn't have to fall on it. So that's really the reason why a lot of these guys go back is financial, and they don't know what to do next. And let's be honest, we all love that. Or for me, boo.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. You know, I loved it. I loved it when I walked out there. So, you know, John McCarthy was like, you know, do you have thick skin? I'm like, yeah, I got really thick skin. I've had to have thick skin. My entire career, my entire life, wherever I was. From wrestling in high school all the way through, I was always the heel. I was always the bad guy. Always the guy no one wanted to cheer for. I got booed my entire career. I had some fans in there. It was always be a small group of fans, but I always got booed. And I thrived on it. I knew that everybody was there to watch me fight. If the whole crowd is booing, then they're there to watch me fight. I'm good with that. I'm okay with that. Everyone's here to watch me fight. And you miss it after a while. Yeah. You do miss it. You miss it tremendously. Like, wow, man. You miss being able to walk into your local restaurant and sit down and eat a meal and buy a bottle of wine for you and your wife and have a great meal. Like, man, I can't wait. And I had a great night off. It was amazing to have this night off with you. And obviously you go ask for the bill, and somebody else, some stranger in the restaurant picked up the bill because you're Frank Trigg. You miss that after a while. You want to get that game back. You're like, what's going to happen when the crowd stops cheering? What's going to happen when people stop paying attention to me? What's going to go on next? You know, no one's got that next. I got lucky. I found the next. I found somebody that gave me as much passion as fighting did, both reffing and stunt work. One just pays me. One makes me enough money so I can survive.
That's cool, man. Yeah, it's something. I think it's something where a lot of the guys that, like you guys that came up, the early guys, nobody had been there and done that. Nobody had fought MMA for a full career and then transitioned out of it. So you guys were in unknown territory. But it worked out for you. Earlier, you said teaching classes. When you said that, like, do you still train at all, like grappling or anything like that, or what kind of classes?
I roll a little bit. I don't do as much as I probably could.
Sure.
I definitely roll around with my students when I can, and I'm in town on Fridays. If I have an open Friday, I go to Strong Sports. I go to a Street Sport Jiu-Jitsu in Santa Monica.
Okay.
And then my gym I own is called Strong Sports, which is down in Chinatown. I live right by Street Sports. So I go over to Nato Magna, and Rico Ciparelli teaches there sometimes on Fridays. I try to roll with the guys when I can. But it's been a long time since I've been there because I've been busy on Fridays because usually I got to ref someplace. So I've been traveling. But I will roll with the guys. I have some, my gym, there's no pros. Everyone's a low level. We have a couple of amateur wrestlers. They're in college right now, but that's it. That's the highest level of athlete we can kind of say in some amateur boxers. That's the highest level of athlete we can actually say. We're a General Joe gym. We just teach everybody that comes in, doctors, lawyers, accountants, cops. That's just what we do. I'll roll with them some, but I only teach a couple days a week, so it's not all that taxing. For me, it's more about longevity now. Body health, body mechanics, lifting, to be in that kind of space, keep my body intact when I have to fall down 17 times.
Yeah.
Doing that kind of thing. That's basically what I'm doing. That's my kind of style right now.
Are you doing anything for recovery? What do you like to do now? Because you're in your 40s, correct?
Yeah, I'm in my deep 40s.
Yeah, so you've done a lot. I mean, your body's been through wrestling at a young age, then MMA, now stunt work. What are you doing to keep yourself kind of healthy, and how do you keep your body together? At doing the stunt work, which seems in some aspects could be a little more dangerous, or a lot more dangerous than MMA.
I do a lot. This is funny because I'm a big carnivore. Let's listen. No bones about it. Don't think by any means being a vegan is dumb. That's just the way it is. If you're a vegan, you're just dumb. We are a higher form of human life on this planet. So as a result, we have big brains and opposable thumbs. We need to get to eat lower life forms, and that's what we do. And that's how it is. I am a huge believer in diet, exercise. My one thing I do, I'm kind of like Don Corleone. I like my wine a little bit more than I used to. I definitely drink more than I probably should. We take all of October, all of January off from drinking, which helps out quite a bit, especially because we're on the road. You've got to drink with the bosses, got to drink with your friends. So like all of November, December, we drank the entire time we were gone. Like we drank every single day, and not like, oh, cheers, one glass of champagne. We're talking like bottles and bottles of wine, and pints of beer because we're overseas. Like just what you do. It's just the culture. So that's probably the one downside I have of my recovery. CBD, THC, And all of my supplements, every supplement I take is it's this company out of San Diego. It's called Ground Based, and it is all vegan, all vegetarian supplements. So protein and pre-workout and post-workout and all that stuff. And so that's what I do when it comes to my supplement regime. Massages, I try to get a massage once a month, a full body once a month, a full flush. If I know like I have a series of big days coming up, like say I got to run on a particular show. Let's say like SEAL Team, just because I'm working for them tomorrow. Say SEAL Team decides to leave me on a 2-week run, but you're not going to work over that 2 weeks every day. I'll schedule a massage at the end of each. And then if something's bothering me, I'll get a day with my therapist, Rob Wilhite. I'll go in and have him look at my shoulder. I'll have him look at my my knee, my ankle, like whatever is bothering me from the scenes, and work on that specifically for an hour to kind of rehab. I sleep as much as I do not remember a time in my life where I didn't nap. In my entire life. I've napped my entire life. Every day I still get a nap. It doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing. If it's like a really busy day on set, everyone else is eating lunch, I'm off in my trailer taking a nap. I only need like 20 minutes, half hour. Like that's all I need. I don't need much. I go get my nap in and get back out. That's my thing. I only get 6 hours of sleep a night. That's just all my body will allow me to do. It doesn't allow me to get more. I go to bed at midnight. I'm up at 6. Obviously I go to bed at 10. I'm up at 4, and that's just how it works for me. So I get my 6 hours in, then get like a half hour to an hour during a day. That's my sleep cycle. And then I'm a very big believer in hormone replacement for males. So testosterone, human growth hormone. I just started a line of all through a doctor. Don't let me think I'm getting it from a black bag in the gym. It's all through a doctor. I use a Frontline out of Texas. Andre Miller has been a real big help for me as of late, getting me on. And before that, it was Universal Men's Clinic. I was on testosterone. Now I'm on human growth hormone and DECA for my shoulder. I need a full knee replacement, full shoulder replacement. I'm too young. I'll blow it out. Plus what I do, I'll blow it out. Like I'll be out for a year, and I'll blow it out within a year. So it's like, why even bother doing it? So I'm just trying to find ways to alleviate that pain and still keep the range of motion up. And that's really my protocols. And then really, honestly, the one thing that we didn't do when we were fighting was resting and learning how to rest, learning how to break. We didn't do that. We sparred every day. Every day we sparred. Every day we push each other in the head. Now it's like you talk to some guys, like I didn't spar the entire training camp. Like I don't think, if I recall, sorry, I'm looking out my window in my office, and I overlook a harbor. So I'm looking at a bunch of sailboats and a bunch of boats. I'm sorry I changed topics on.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
But I'm looking, and this girl is walking down the beach. I'm like, wow, she's got a great ass. Like, who is that girl? I'm like trying to peek around and look. My wife's out there walking my dog.
I was wondering. I was like, dude, it's like because I thought your wife was sitting over there right next to you. It's like, and you're talking about the girl with the ass. I was like, what are you doing, man?
She doesn't care. Jill's the first one. She'll point out girls right away.
Oh, cool.
She's the first one. Like you see that girl's ass? I'm like, yeah, dude, that's a bomb ass. Like, great. I'm like, that's funny as shit. Like, no, who's that girl with the ass down there? She must be new. She must have moved into the buildings a little while ago. What's she? Oh, hey, Jill. So what? I totally lost.
Yeah, we were talking about recovery, but I want to ask you, man. Honestly, I'm a big fan of MMA and a big fan of your fight with Matt, which is a huge kind of, I think, reason why a lot of people know who you are. Fighting for the title and everything. What does that fight mean to you? That even though you came up short, how has that fight changed you?
I mean, I don't know. It's the only fight anybody talks about, so I can't really say how it changed me, per se.
Okay.
I mean, no one talks about any other fight. No one cares about any other fight except for that one fight. I'm in the Hall of Fame for that fight. I have a Hall of Fame jacket because of that fight. I mean, this is the reality of it.
Right.
It's helped me deal. I will tell you this. It's helped me deal with losing a lot better. It's helped me deal with the negativity surrounding stuff. It's also helped me deal with the fact that people really believe what they see on TV and what you say. Like, words matter. Like, and how you say things matter. So, I was, there's no way around. I was the first trash talker. Like, I was the first big trash talker that the UFC had. I talked a gang of shit on Matt. I talked a gang of shit on his family. I talked a gang of shit on his training camp. That's just how I sold it. You got to make a choice back then. Either be the heel or be the face. Matt was already the face. He was already the champ. You can't take his spot. You're not going to be the nice guy and try to take his spot. You got it. If you want to fight more than one time a year for the UFC, you got to talk trash. They only had 8 fights a year back then. That's all there were. Right. And so if you wanted to fight twice, you had to run your fucking mouth. So I ran my mouth, and that's what I did. Well, then people will be like, Mike Goldberg is legit one of these stories. So a friend of mine, Steve McKenna, was the enforcer for Mario Lemieux on Pittsburgh Penguins. Steve McKenna and I are in Vegas. I fought Hallman the second time, the Birds, when I flipped Hallman off in the UFC, the Birds, the end of that fight. So I fought Hallman, and we're out, we're done. We're after, we're hanging out, we're gambling. It's in Vegas, we're gambling, we're hanging out. And McKenna's with me, and Goldberg knows McKenna from when he was commentating for the Minnesota Wild as a hockey commentator.
Yeah.
So he's hanging out. McKenna and I are at the table. We're playing. We're talking. And McKenna's 6'6", 6'7", 275 pounds, big dorky Canadian dude. You know, like just looking kind of Oompa Loompa kind of around, just a big kind of character. And we're playing the tables, and some of the guys are like, "What in the hell is going on?" And like, "No, we're friends. We're fine. Don't worry about it." And we're high five, we win or whatever. And Goldberg comes and goes, literally, right next to me, talking to Steve. Looks right at Steve and goes, "Why are you hanging out with this asshole Trigg?" And completely means it. Like has no qualms about talking shit about me. Literally, with me standing right there, did not give a shit. It was like, He's such a fucking dick. Why would you hang out with him? He's a complete straight asshole. Why would you hang out with him? He's like, dude, he's like the best guy in the world. Like, why would you want to hang out with him? He's so much fun. Blah, blah, blah. And Goldberg looks at McKenna and is like, there is no way. He goes, go on, just hang out with us for a while. You'll understand. You hang out with us for a while. After about 45 minutes, Goldberg is like, dude, I totally misjudged you. Because I had no idea what kind of person you really are. He goes, because all Goldberg would get, we would do the interviews on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. He'd come in on Thursday and look at all the interviews that we did. The stunts would pop up on the pre-fight stuff.
Yeah, right.
You know, the black shot of each of us. And all he would see is that interview. That's all he would read is that interview. That's all he would get is that interview. His only interaction with me was that interview. Or an interview I did with a podcast. Or something I did on a forum. That's all he would get. He wouldn't get anything else. That's all he would get. So he's like, it really is a gimmick. Mm-hmm. And we have been telling people that forever. It's a gimmick. No one really gets the gimmick until they hang out with me for a while. They're like, oh, yeah, you really are an insecure little prick, aren't you? Well, absolutely, yeah. I'm just like everybody else. Right. I'm no different. I just took a gang load of shit. And it's funny to me. I literally, and Joe Silva, you can ask Joe Silva this, I say a line, like the line, I'm going to beat you up, I'm going to kiss my wife and go have a beer. Like, I had to do that line like 3 times. I couldn't stop laughing. One time, I was like, oh my God, that's good. Okay, hold on, we're going to do it again. Okay, we're going to do it again. I couldn't stop laughing. It's like, it's a gimmick to me. It's all fun and games.
Sure. Yeah.
But words matter. No one believes it until they meet somebody out in person. Mm-hmm. You're like, all of a sudden you're like, you play a character on TV. I'm not really a doctor. I just play one on TV. Yeah. That's really what it is.
Right.
And so for me, that fight really taught me that. And thank God for Jill, because she's like, you got to revamp and let everybody know that you're not this bad guy everybody thinks you are. Like, you really got to go out there and tell people, like, that was a gimmick. That's your shtick. That's all it is. I was playing a character. That's all I was doing. I was acting. That's what I was doing to sell a fight, to make people want to be a fight. If I had to do it in today's market, right now, we had no Instagram. Mm-hmm. We barely had Facebook at the end. We had MySpace.
Yeah.
We had the Sherdog forums. We had the mixed martial art forums.
Yeah, I remember
that was it.
Yeah.
That's all we had. We had nothing else. So you had to talk a gang of shit to get a fight. That's what I did. To do it now, all you do is show photos of me working out on Instagram, and back then I had abs, so you show my abs. I don't have them now, but you can show your abs and show the physique that you're in. And all of a sudden you get a million followers, and all of a sudden you get endorsement deals because you're signed with the UFC. You got totally different game. I wouldn't have to talk anything at all. I wouldn't even have to talk. Mm-hmm. You probably wouldn't even hear my voice. I just have to show up and fight and post pictures, and that'd be it. It's a different game now. It's totally different. So for me, it taught me that words actually matter, and how you say things actually matter, that people are going to believe it and continue believing it. I still get hate texts and hate mails and stuff all the time from people. I'm like, oh, okay, look. And then all I do is I just repost it. Guys, look, we have a fan. He has
That's great.
Out. And then my other fans go, and they go, oh, yeah, you got to understand. This is how it is, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of it, they're like, oh, yeah, sorry. Now, I do have some haters. I mean, I actually have some people that don't like me. And they don't like me for personal reasons, which is totally fine.
Sure.
I don't get, I'm not every person's cup of tea. Mm-hmm. But the majority of people that don't like me are actually fans that just don't know me. They just don't know who I am. They don't know how I act. They don't know the whole situations of my life. They don't know everything that's going on. And then once they get to know it, they're like, oh, okay. Plus, part of it's my fault. I'm very standoffish. I keep people kind of at a distance. I learned very early, talking about the grind, going back early in the interview, you guys always were asking me about how I learned how to grind and stuff. I found out very early that people will be your friend as long as you can do something for them.
Sure.
But once they realize you can't do anything for them, they don't want to talk to you anymore, hang out with you anymore. And I learned that very early. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep everybody out until I see how they really react. My whole thing is, if we're not really friends until we eat and drink together. And so I can see how you treat a waiter or a waitress, until I see how you treat a valet. So I see how you treat a door guy. I don't really know who you are, because I want to see how you treat what we consider the lowest common denominator in our life, right? The maids, the janitors, the wait staff, the people that we kind of dismiss and don't look. If you don't look them in the eye when you're ordering their food, if you don't pay attention to them when they show up and stop your conversation, because they have a job to do too. They're there working. They're not there for our pleasure. They're there because they're trying to earn money for their family. If you can't treat them with respect and be nice to them and kind to them, then I don't really want to hang out with you. So like when people are like, oh yeah, we're friends. Like I had somebody ask me the other day, you know so-and-so? I'm like, I'm sorry, man, I don't even know who that is. He says you guys are great friends. I got to be honest with you, man. I don't know who this person is. Do they go by another name? Are they somebody different? And like they go through their Instagram feed and they're like, here, this person. They blow it up. I'm like, I got to be honest, man. I don't even know if I would talk to that guy ever in my entire life. This person believes we're friends because I answered his messages on Facebook.
Oh.
So they believe we're friends. We're close friends. Like, and that, like, I should be doing stuff for them. I'm like, no, we're not. There is nobody in I have a very small inner circle. My inner circle, I can count on less than 2 hands. That's my inner circle. I have a very close-knit group of friends. We eat and drink together. We hang out together. We check up on each other when people are having bad days. We do these things. I have a shit ton of acquaintances, people that I know, and that will come in and out of my life depending on what the situation is and what we need from each other and how things are going to go. That's kind of what happens, and that's the game. But I learned very early, I got to keep people kind of at a distance. So as a result, I'm very standoffish, so people aren't really sure how to deal with me. Or the other thing I get is that I'm too friendly, because I know that if I'm really friendly with you, you'll go away. you're kind of like, okay, move along, kid. Like, leave me alone a little bit. So I get really friendly. Oh my God, so great to see you. It's amazing. Oh, it's so nice. Yeah, blah. Oh yeah, let's keep in touch with blah blah. And I move on. I'm not talking to that guy ever again. I'm not going to hang out with that person ever again. It's just how it is. This is how I am. But I know that about myself. But that fight really, that second fight with Hughes really put me in that space to have to think about it, because people do only want to talk about that fight. That's the only thing they really want to get into.
Now, with fighting, just another thing about fighting, as a martial artist, right? I mean, you really are taking all that work that you put into there, and it's a form of art, right? Instead of painting on a canvas, you have your body's movement out there in front of everyone. Is there any match or any fight that you remember having where you were like, man, I'm so satisfied with it. I felt good going into it. Everything that I did came off perfectly. Like, you know what I mean? Does it make sense?
I totally understand what you're saying, and not a single one. Not a one. It was not a one I walked away as, and it's not how I'm wired. I am always in the pursuit of perfection that I will never reach. So even if my baseline was this high for perfection, and I reached that level with perfection, when I go back and review it and look at it again, my level of perfection is lifted.
Okay.
So the moment that I relook at it, I've already become imperfect. I can never reach perfection. There's always going to be a system of always trying to be better, faster, stronger, smarter, quicker, whatever it is. You're always trying to be something different than what you were going into that space. And as a result, it never leaves me with a full degree of satisfaction. I'm never fully satisfied, but I'm always looking at how to become better at what I'm doing. So it's a little sharp-edged sword a little bit.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
It's always that makes sense. 'Cause that makes you always strive to be better. I mean, you're never complacent. You're never just satisfied with where you are, and that's kind of I think that's the goal of life, is to always be a little better, improve a little bit more, and that's how you get good at a craft. Like you said, being a master of your craft, even after 10 years, you're still working to improve. You're not ever satisfied.
Never.
Yeah.
Never once, and that's part of it too. Is we go back to talking about partners. The move to Hawaii was a very difficult move for me, leaving from Vegas, going to Hawaii, take a shot to get my stunt life moved forward. When I first got that job in Hawaii 5-0, I was only out there I was out there teaching a seminar. I was only out there for a couple of days, and I was then staying on vacation for a while. I wasn't there to do stunts. I wasn't there because I was trying to get into stunts. That came about because I was there. Then a season later, 2 seasons later, I was like, I have a real opportunity to go work with Jeff Caliente all the time. Let me move out to Hawaii. And I was kind of hemming and hawing. I wasn't really sure to do it. And then my partner, Jill, gave me the push. She was like, I got my job transferred. We're going. This is what's going to happen because this is the next stage of our life. So I got that push. And that pushed me forward to that next step. She also pushed me forward to we got to move back to LA because it's where the job market has shifted for you. So we moved back so now that's where we're in LA. And it's also one of those that even if I had a perfect day on set, there would still be some that needs to be worked on because she won't let me be perfect. No matter what, there's always some little, your pinky's in the wrong spot. You were 1/10 of a second too short, 1/10 of a foot too fast. You gotta get this stuff dialed in. There's always something to be worked on. Sure. But it's also having that partner that is like, no, you've got to work on this more. You've got to push more. And if you don't push more, you're not going to get to the level that you want to be at. But it's also the thing that drives other people crazy. Because I'm always like, no, do it again. No, do it again. No, do it again. And the stunt creator is like, no, director got it. We're good. I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't think that one's the best. I think I got one more. He's like, no, we're good. I'm like, no, we're not. I got another one. I can do better. He's like, yeah, you can do better. But the rest of these guys, 8 guys around you can't do better. Like, we're stuck. Like, just stop. You're making it work. Okay, all right, we're done. But it's like, that's just, what it is. But it's that constant push, man, and having that partner definitely help you make that leap off the bridge helps quite a bit.
Awesome, man.
That's cool, man. Well, so, man, tell us what you got going on right now. Like, what are some things where, things you're working on or, like, shows you have coming up?
Let's see. What's coming up? We Don't Have a One is getting ready to restart, so that's coming up. SEAL Teams tomorrow. That'll air probably in, like, 4 or 5 weeks. Before that was LA Finest. Before NCSLA was before that. Probably NCSLA again next week. Shoot, I'm trying to think.
You got any matches you're reffing or anything like that?
Yeah, we do Combates America. That I can tell you. So the easiest thing, this is what I tell everybody now, the easiest way to find out what the hell I got going on, acting-wise, TV-wise, is just go to my IMDb account. So it's imdb.com. Type in Frank Trigg, and my whole everything I've done and is doing lines up. And what the good thing about IMDb is that it puts in what you're on before it's aired, and it'll tell you the air dates. So it'll let you know, hey, it's on CBS on Wednesday, whatever, blah, blah. It's on whatever the hell it is. So reffing-wise, I got Combates on Fridays in Fresno, and then we've got it's the same one. And then what is this? I don't know what this is. Something March 13th. I'm not sure what the promotion is. But it's at the Carmen's Casino on Friday, March 13th, and then on April 5th, I got King of the Cage Sunday, April 5th, and then March 21st, I'm doing forgive me, I don't know the name of it, but it's in the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi. Something Combat Challenge, another MMA show but it's filmed. It's out there. It might be the Arabic Combat Challenge. But I'm reffing out there, so I have to go to United Arab Emirates on the 17th, and then I'm there through to the 22nd.
Cool. And then if anybody wants to follow you, where's the best place to do that?
Any social media? Well, I don't say anything. I mean, I'm only on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's really the only 3 I really use, and they're all at Frank Trigg, one word. It's super easy to find me, except for my fan page is on Facebook. I think it's still under Twinkle Toes. It's Frank Twinkle Toes.
Oh, that's right. That was your nickname, Twinkle Toes.
Yeah, I'm trying to change it, and they won't let me change it. Like, I've been trying to get rid of it, but it won't let me get rid of it.
I gotta ask you, man, how'd you get that? How'd you get Twinkle Toes?
I paint my toenails.
That's it. It's that simple.
Yeah, that's simple. I mean, there's a long, drawn-out story, but I was fighting in Japan. My manager, Lou Ciparelli, is Rico Ciparelli's brother, asked some Japanese fan after the fights were over, like, what fighters you like the best? She's like, the bald guy with the tattoos, which narrowed it down to pretty much everybody that wasn't Japanese on the fight card. And she was like, which one is that? Which one is that? And she's like, the one with the twinkly toes.
Oh, nice.
And he's like, oh, and it was me. And he's like, that's it, your twinkle toes. And just stuck. That's awesome. Then he used it. And he's also the same one that came up with Dan Hollywood Henderson, Randy the Natural Couture, a couple others I forget now, but he's the one that came with all those nicknames that stuck forever. So Henderson changed his to Hendo. But yeah, that was always the one thing I've always hated. It was Twinkle Toes. I told Bruce to stop announcing it even when I got it, he wouldn't stop, and then it became a thing, and now it's just I'm stuck with it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Hey, and thank you to your wife. She was awesome about getting in contact with you. Tell her thank you. Really appreciate it.
She's the manager. She better get her.
She's doing great. She was awesome, man.
We'll get to watch your back right there.
She's flipping me off right now. So
that's awesome, dude. Hey, thanks, Frank. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you.
You got it, guys.
Thank you. Thanks again. Thanks for everything you've done for MMA. You've been a big inspiration for a lot of people, for sure.
I appreciate that. I really do. Take care, guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
Take care, brother. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast with Frank Trigg. That was a fun one. Again, I always enjoy this. Like we talked to Kenny Florian, and then we're talking to Frank Trigg, and I love talking to some of these older fighters just to see, like, what do you do when you're not doing that anymore? You know, because again, it's such a hard. I can't imagine the day where I can't do what I'm doing. You know, I couldn't imagine being a fighter where that's what you've devoted everything to, and then all of a sudden it's like you can't do it anymore, and not for what you were doing. You know, or maybe you don't want to do it anymore. Who knows? You know, but it's so interesting to listen to those people, and I think it's instructive not just for people that are fighting, but you know, a lot of us, you know, we all go through these transitional states in our life, right, where we are in one period and then we move into another. Like I remember, or even like right now, my girlfriend, she's in a transitional state where she's moving from her old normal job that she's been doing, and she's beginning to move into a new area, and it's completely different. It's starting from square one. It's fun and it's exciting, but it's also at the same time it's kind of scary because you're like, what lies here? And I think we all go through that, where we're like, okay, the world in which we live in, which we've become accustomed to, is no longer the same. What do I do now? You know, and then again, you got to pick a direction and then you got to run with it. And I thought that was just, I enjoy that conversation, hearing about this stuff, because it's just, again, when you see those guys, when you see them fighting and you see them at their peak, you know, anytime like this, you think people they got to figure it out, you know, and then it's like you realize that we're all in this boat together, regardless of whether or not you're a fighter or just a 9 to 5 or whatever you do. We're all in this period where we're constantly in this sort of process of change. And I like listening to people go through that change and how they did it and what was useful to them and what wasn't useful to them.
They're always thinking ahead. They're always kind of really intelligent people.
Who is?
Just all these fighters and just these
Some
people that have
the ones that we've talked to,
that have careers that have successful careers after fighting.
Sure.
They don't see fighting as the end all be all. They're kind of like, they see it as a vehicle to promote growth in different directions. Like, you know, Frank used his MMA, his notoriety from MMA, to vault him into doing things in stunting or just other traveling, being a ref, doing all this kind of stuff. So he's one of those guys that, you know, he comes off with his heels, his ass, as this just kind of, his persona is so different than who he actually is. And he figured out like how to, you know, use those elements of his personality and how to kind of, you know, get emotions out of people, evoke emotions to get people to care about what he does. And then also he always thought ahead. He seemed like he was always, fighting wasn't, it was something that he did, but it wasn't like who he was.
Or, you know, in maybe not even sometimes thinking about thinking ahead, but sometimes like when the call comes, right? You know, Joseph Campbell would call it the call to adventure, right? When the call comes, you take it, right? So some guy says, hey, listen, you know, like he was talking about, you know, he wasn't sure about this whole stunt thing, and his wife's like, we got to move to Hawaii, whatever. And he said, screw it, let's do it. You know, like you just got to, when the call comes, you can't, you either got to go with it or you got to let, you know, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And so he just took it. And so it was a cool story to hear. Well, I was going to say something, and I can't remember what I was going to say. Well, it was a cool podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
It was fun.
You know, as always, guys, if you want to support the podcast, you can check out our Patreon, or you can check out the Vault that we just started. Again, Patreon is patreon.com/the Jiu-Jitsu podcast. The Vault is a combination of the Patreon content plus a bunch of stuff like I was talking about earlier at the beginning of the show, you know, video content, audio content, narrated matches, techniques, just a ton of stuff. It's literally I'm taking stuff that I teach my students and I give to them, and I'm just giving it to you guys as an offering. And so again, if you want to check that out, you can go to jujitsu.net and go to the video courses and products section. You can do that. And then
I do want to say, like, you know, the Vault, it's kind of interesting because it's kind of an inside look into a little bit of our gym, an inside look into like the things that you do. Like you're teaching, and in some of those videos, you're really just like, you're just doing it. You're teaching, you're showing these techniques, these intricacies like of a normal class. And it's like, if you ever want to kind of get a sneak peek even what techniques, what instruction looks like, with you. It's a great way to get that.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, because in that situation, I'm working with you guys in the gym. I'm not doing it for YouTube. I'm
Sure.
not doing it for anybody else. So I don't have to, for instance, with YouTube, you have to make a video. It's got to be a certain, because you couldn't spend 20 minutes rambling about something, right? But like sometimes in the classes, I'll get questions from guys. I mean, some of those videos, it'll be like a 10-minute video on me just breaking down mechanics of an armbar because someone was asking a
Yeah,
question.
and you might hear that one little piece that you've been missing that might really complete your technique.
Yeah.
Or you might see that one little adjustment sometimes you can't show in a 5-minute YouTube video. So it's great stuff, man. There's so much content on there too. It's crazy.
Yeah, so you can check that out. And then again, as always, guys, we've got our partnership with Charlotte's Web. So if you want to check their stuff out, charlottesweb.com. You can use a promo code Charlotte's Web, that will help you, Chewjitsu, and save yourself some money on some helpful recovery tools. Again, I really like this stuff. I've been using it for several years now, and I've gone off of CBD and I've gone back on, and I definitely notice a noticeable difference as far as my ability to recover with it than without it.
Yeah.
So again, I'm a big fan of it. And again, check out epicrollbjj.com. That's Matt and his company. They've got some cool jiu-jitsu stuff, some cool t-shirts, rash guards, all that stuff. So check his stuff out. And again, promo code jiu-jitsu to save 15% off. And guys, with that said, I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll see you next week.